During the Constituent Assembly debates, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar outlined a specific, intentional vision for affirmative action in India. He viewed reservation as a scaffolding, a necessary but temporary structure meant to assist in the construction of an equitable society, rather than a permanent architectural feature. However, over the decades, a structural flaw has emerged: the generational beneficiary paradox. A policy originally designed for broad societal inclusion has slowly moved toward becoming an instrument of inheritance. The cycle is systematic. A first-generation beneficiary secures a degree or a government post. The second generation uses that stability to consolidate wealth and social capital. By the third generation, the family is competing in elite spaces with advantages far beyond the original intent of the policy. This cumulative advantage effectively bars the path for first-generation rural aspirants who are forced to compete against established dynasties rather than their actual peers. When the benefits of mobility are monopolized indefinitely by a small fraction of families, the very people the system was built to reach remain stationary at the bottom. The exact scale of this capture is laid bare in the Justice G. Rohini Commission's audit, which examined 1.3 lakh central OBC recruitments and admissions. This chart reveals severe concentration. Look at the two bars on the left. A staggering 97% of benefits were absorbed by just 25% of subcastes. Now look at the far right. 983 castes received zero representation. Not a single job, not a single seat. The elite fraction utilizes urban schooling, expensive coaching, and deep professional networks to maintain their lead. Meanwhile, those 983 zero-benefit communities lack the basic social capital required to even enter the race. Without internal checks to correct this imbalance, affirmative action policies create inclusion on paper, but enforce a different kind of exclusion in practice. Political philosopher John Rawls addressed this structural failure through his difference principle. The core premise is that systemic inequalities within a society are justifiable only if they work to the maximum benefit of the least advantaged group. The Supreme Court of India has spent decades attempting to enforce this exact principle to prevent quotas from being cornered by a small elite. In the landmark 1992 Indra Savni case, the court introduced the creamy layer concept, explicitly designing it to legally exclude socially advanced sections from absorbing benefits meant for the downtrodden. A major expansion of this legal framework arrived with the 2024 Devender Singh ruling. A 7-judge bench ruled that individual states possess the constitutional authority to subclassify reserved categories. Local governments can now set aside specific internal quotas designed to reach their most deprived subgroups. The highest court in the country has dictated that the constitutional promise of equal opportunity cannot be subverted into a dynasty. India is not the only nation grappling with the capture of affirmative action benefits. We can look outward to see how other systems remain dynamic. This chart breaks down global review mechanisms. Brazil mandates a comprehensive review every 10 years, combining racial subquotas with strict income filters to prevent stagnation. South Africa and Malaysia use complex scorecards and sunset clauses to ensure benefits are not perpetually claimed by the same affluent families. Every durable affirmative action model around the world utilizes dynamic data audits and sunset logic. Without these critical mechanisms in place, the policy inevitably fails those who are trapped at the very bottom of the socioeconomic scale. Recentering the system on its original mission requires a specific 5-pillar policy roadmap. Pillar 1 is enforcing a strict, creamy layer. A flat income threshold is easily eroded by inflation. The system needs a comprehensive matrix measuring assets, social status, and generational wealth. Pillar 2 is subcategorization. By creating specific tiers within existing quotas, the state can grant priority access to those zero-benefit groups who have been historically marginalized by the broader category. Pillar 3 introduces mandatory 10-year sunset audits. Independent commissions must periodically assess actual socioeconomic mobility to update and revise beneficiary lists based on current data. Pillars 4 and 5 ground the system in objective reality. Beneficiary identification must be linked to hard quantitative data, like the Multidimensional Poverty Index, while the state simultaneously invests heavily in grassroots capability building. These 5 steps transition reservation from a static entitlement into a dynamic engine of upward mobility. The data models from the Rohini Commission show us the impact of implementing these reforms. With proper subcategorization, representation for zero-benefit castes could leap from 0% to 22% in just 5 years, without expanding the total quota limit. The benefits aren't just social, they're macroeconomic. Integrating the bottom 20% into the skilled workforce activates a massive reservoir of untapped labor productivity. World Bank data suggests that even a 1% improvement in this inclusion metric correlates to a 0.3% rise in national GDP. This aligns perfectly with the guiding vision of Antioquia, the principle of putting the last mile first. Reservation is, at its core, a sacred trust. True social justice is achieved only when the path of opportunity reaches the absolute last person standing in the line of privilege.